I am very excited to be standing here with our Secretary of State, Michael Adams, to announce that we have reached an agreement on how to conduct the general election. Let me say that I don't really think that this was too much of a negotiation going back and forth. I think we both wanted a successful election where we could protect people's health and get what we believe will be one of the larger turnouts we've seen because there are so many options to vote. I want to make sure that I acknowledge that our Secretary of State came with a very good starting plan. We were only negotiating some of the finer points, and I want to commend him for putting, at least what I believe is putting ideology on the shelf to make sure that we have an election that both stresses health and enfranchisement. So I'm really excited about today's announcement. And it shows that Democrats and Republicans can still agree on something, whether it's in Washington or here. But I believe that this agreement was easy to reach based on a relationship of trust where we both knew that we were trying to get to a good place for the voters of Kentucky. So I believe that this plan, which was based on a formal proposal by Secretary Adams that I have now signed into an executive order, creates, I believe, the most options to vote that we have seen in an election. And we just have some of the major points. I'm going to go over them, and then our Secretary of State can correct me in all the mistakes I make, which will make this like a normal 4 o'clock press conference. So the first part is absentee voting by mail. This is going to give every Kentuckian who is concerned with contracting or spreading the coronavirus the option to request an absentee ballot to vote by mail. That means that either if you are concerned about your own health or you are concerned about those that you come into contact with and spreading, you have this option. Here's an even bigger, better point. The portal to request that ballot is going to be open within 7 days. So by Friday of next week, you will already be able to request your absentee ballot that should be mailed to your home, and then we want you to complete really fast and returned. The ballots need to be postmarked by Election Day, November 3rd, but this is important. They also have to be received by November the 6th. I think this was a compromise in both wanting to know the winner of an election within a period of time and also giving people the most options they can to get that ballot in. Drop boxes. This was an idea from the Secretary of State primarily during the primary. They turned out to be very popular. People would know that their ballot was in, are going to be available for Kentuckians to return their mail ballots if they're concerned about postal delays. County clerks will determine these and set them up. So a robust opportunity for absentee ballots by mail. Now, the portal will close on October you can give them the date, in a date in October. After that point, you can still request them by their traditional means, but this is important so the clerks can get them out because there's going to be a decent volume to everybody, and there'll be time to get them back in. Second point is early voting. The Secretary's proposal has the most robust early voting period that we've seen in Kentucky in my lifetime. So beginning the week of October 13th for 3 weeks, including 4 hours apiece, I think, on each Saturday, people in every county of Kentucky are going to be able to go in and cast their ballot early. Now, this is important for 2 reasons. One, I think more people will vote. It's more convenient. And what we've seen in this last election is people really like convenience. It's more important, I think, than party is your ability to do it. But number 2, it makes it safer. For those that want to vote in person, it makes it safer. You can pick your time. We can significantly decrease the density. And for those that want to vote in person, we highly encourage you to do it in that 3-week period before Election Day itself. I think it will also make Election Day go smoother. Election Day voting. This is another area where the recommendation, I thought, provided a very good addition to what we saw in the primary, and that's that counties that want to reduce their number of polling locations, and we expect all of them to reduce them at least some. That's what we're dealing with in the middle of COVID. We don't want the different volunteers who would be poll workers, who would be in harm's way. We want to make sure that there are enough polling places, though, in other words, not just one, in Jefferson and Fayette County. So plans to reduce polling locations will have to come to the Secretary of State, to the Board of Elections, and myself to be approved. And I like this one. Every county will still have at least one voting supercenter, which is a term I think will live forever, a voting supercenter. And what that means is there's at least one location, think like the fairgrounds in Louisville, where you can go and vote, and all the ballots are available. Otherwise, you'll have to go to a location near you at least to get that correct ballot. And last, there's some voter identification pieces I want to make sure that the Secretary gets to address. I think that this is one where we saw a real willingness to be reasonable in the midst of COVID, and if you haven't been able to get that voter ID, different ways that you can either sign a statement or ultimately still vote. Again, I believe that this was definitely putting practicality, the situation we're in, and the health of Kentucky people above anything else.